changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration to make you simply happy. It's Thoughtful Thursday, and this is the day that I share a story that made me stop and think, that gave me a new perspective. There's a story that we published in Chicken Soup for the Soul, Time to Thrive, that had such a big impact on me that I talked about it in my new book, Simply Happy. The reason is that Simply Happy is about all the simple, essential ways that I've learned to be happy from reading all those Chicken Soup for the Soul stories. And one of those essentials is learning to let things go, to forgive and move forward. In this story, which is called The List, Jean Morris tells us that her husband Greg announced that he wanted a divorce after more than 30 years of marriage, 3 children, and 4 grandchildren. He said the marriage had lost its spark and he wanted a chance to find his soulmate. So Jean and Greg didn't fight over the possessions. They were splitting everything 50-50, even the pets, with Jean keeping the dog and Greg keeping the cat. Greg offered Jean their large farmhouse, which was from the 1840s and which they'd spent years restoring. But she wanted to make a fresh start. She actually moved into a small contemporary. As they split up their possessions, Jean had to make a lot of decisions about what to keep and what to let go. Some of those decisions were easy. Greg could keep that ugly brown recliner chair, and Jean would keep her great-grandmother's oak dining room table. Greg would keep those dishes that were decorated with moose and elk and grizzly bears, and Jean would keep the pretty wedding china. Greg would take the pool table, and Jean would take the treadmill. Everything went really well as far as dividing things up, and before she knew it, Jean was spending her first night in her new house. But all of a sudden, she found herself crying, and she thought about all the decisions she had made, what to take and what to leave, and she realized she hadn't done the hard work yet. There was more to moving on from her marriage than just splitting up possessions. So she turned on her bedside lamp, and she got out some paper and a pen, and she started to do some writing. It was basically some journaling. And she says, at the top of a blank page, I wrote, what to leave behind. The list wasn't long, but it was powerful. Anger, resentment, hurt, desire for revenge, fear, the most overwhelming emotion of all. Fear that I wasn't brave enough or smart enough or tough enough to weather this gigantic storm. Atop the next page, I wrote, what to keep. Try as I might, I could come up with only one item to put on the list. Happy memories. Memories of bringing our newborn babies home from the hospital, of the smell of wood smoke and fresh-cut Christmas trees, of throwing hay from the barn loft to the horses waiting below, of bicycle rides and basketball games and BB shooting contests, of tire swings and trampolines, of fishing in the pond and catching nothing, of snuggling in front of the TV with a huge bowl of popcorn to share, of Easter dresses and prom dresses and wedding dresses. I filled page after page of that notebook with happy memories. By the time my fingers grew too stiff to grasp the pen, the sky outside my bedroom window was growing pink. That was what Jean needed. She shed her resentment, banished her fear, and redefined her past by focusing on all the good. She focused on all the good things that had happened, and she forgave the bad, so that the bad things wouldn't hold her back. And then she watched the first sunrise of her new life in her new little contemporary house that was all hers, and she was filled with excitement and ready for adventure. Jean forgave her husband, and she reminded herself of all the good in their marriage. It was as if she was shrugging her shoulders and letting a heavy mantle drop off them and fall onto the ground. She was ready to move forward. I'm Amy Newmark. Thanks for listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast today. If you'd like to learn about my new book, Simply Happy, please go to our website, chickensoup.com, and check out our hashtag Simply Happy project on social media all this month. Now, tomorrow is Friend Friday, so I'll be back with a fun guest, Mark Rickerby, who's one of our regular story writers. We're going to talk about a powerful dream that he had And it's about forgiveness also. And it happens to be a story that really stands out for me among the tens of thousands of Chicken Soup for the Soul stories that I've read and edited.